Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Good morning. Welcome to Friday Writing Group. Lovely to know that you're out there.
Writing with us. All right. So if you're new, this is our twice a week writing group. We've got you for a couple of hours, although this is like a 10, 15 minute. And then you're going to go and write. We're going to give you some writing prompts in case you want them. We've got some really wicked ones today. They're always wicked, but this one's pretty cool. And then you're going to come back and check out and let us know how it went.
Right. And also, we are always going to be here for you on Facebook Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific time and Friday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. So if you would like to commit yourself, then, maybe the writing can flow in a whole new way.
And when you're ready to bring a book to public forum and you feel like, yep, these are my people, these two people get me or get my process, or I like their process, and you want to be part of the Writer's Adventure private cohort that also includes 2 retreats and ongoing writing support, let us know, and we're right here for you. So, okay, Meribeth, let's jump in. We've got a little conversation and then some tips.
Well, why don't we check in first, Tina?
Sure. Sorry, I was getting some funky feedback there for a sec. We're good. Sorry. It's all gone. So feedback's gone. Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah, let's check in.
So we like to ground ourselves a little bit first, and we do that just by asking ourselves some questions that we can answer either by writing down, by thinking in our heads, by whispering quietly to ourselves, taking some deep breaths. And I'll offer one up right now. This morning, I feel
This morning, I'm noticing I'm present with.
This morning, I keep hearing in my head. That's it.
Yeah. The reason why we do those is to remind you that you can't get there from there. You can only get there from here. So where's here? Where are you today? What's your here today? Oh my gosh, that was adorable, Meribeth, because your screen froze for a second and you froze, but we could hear the click of.
Sorry, I've got charging issues here.
Oh, I thought you know what it sounded like? Oh, she's pouring a cold drink. That's what it sounded like.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Meribeth's on vacation this week, so she's off in Mexico. All right, so you can't get there from there. You can only get there from here. So it's that check-in of where are you right now? What are you present with?
Which is philosophical enough to lead us into our next discussion.
Yes, it is. Okay, this was your really coolness. So go for it, Meribeth.
So a big question hit me this morning, and I thought it could work for just about any book, and maybe as an opener, or maybe just as an opener to your own process and your own storytelling. And the question is this: how did we get here? And then the big question is, who is we? You go, Tina. You take it from here.
I was going to say, now all the linear thinkers who are watching are going, what do you mean, how did I get here? I thought about writing a book. Okay, now let's scratch the surface on that. And here's a little tip you can roll with. Anytime you scratch the surface on something to inquire deeper, scratch 6 times. Don't scratch 3. Your first scratch. So how did I get here? Well, I made a decision. Okay, scratch again. Well, how did I get to that decision? Oh, well, I had this thing happen with my mother. Oh, scratch the surface again. Well, how did that thing happen with your mother? Scratch the surface again, and you just keep going. You can certainly go more than 3, somewhere between 3 and 6. You're going to find some gold about how'd you get here. And the the reason we're here is when you're writing, there's an inciting event. There's something, and so in actor language, we call that like the scene before the scene. What's the inciting event that catapulted this, again, in theater language, that catapulted this play into needing to be here? Because a play is only an hour and a half and it's a full journey and everything, but something's got to happen, right? So what's the thing that happened that prompted this whole thing? You're going to have an inciting event inside of you that might be an emotional one, or you might have actually had a thing that happened that you feel like you just need to write about, or maybe it's an observation in the world that you're like, you know what, people need to know this, whatever this is. And that's where we're going with this.
And I think, it's also a good way to sort of write into your perspective that you want to write from, right? Like, it's such a big question. You can literally start anywhere and end up anywhere else. And which maybe leads you into the waters of overwhelm and be like, oh my God, I'm going to be writing this thing for like 20 years and I'm still not going to know where I am. But I don't think that's actually true. That's just a process piece. I think it's a great question, even if you're midway through your book or on another draft. It's just one of those questions that can actually help you ground yourself, because you'll find in there that place that you want to land, and the place that you want to see the world from.
I think the other thing, Meribeth, on how did we get here, my belief is, and in the way that I coach people, is that the initial impulse to write something actually has all of the information in it that you need, even if you can't write it all down yet. But like that initial impulse, which is motivated by something big enough that you're like, I got to write a book about it. And so while How Did We Get Here sounds like just the starting point, like the start line, from my practice, the finish line's also in that. Even if you can't quite see it, we don't tend to start books from an open doorway. We might start writing from an open doorway, but we don't write books just at a view we can't see yet. So there's going to be some information in there. Where does that take you, Meribeth? And then I think I'll go through the 3 conflicts.
Okay, so my super, we talk about impulses a lot here, which is kind of the whole point of the writing prompts. It's like, let's not overthink this. Let's just take it and run with the first thing that comes out. So I don't know if this were incorporated into your practice for a short period of time, say 1 week every day, I'm going to write for 5 minutes or 8 minutes. We've been really promoting this 8 minutes a day kind of thing. I'm going to write for 8 minutes and I'm going to ask, how did we get here? So it's like Tina was saying before, scratch the surface, ask yourself, how did we get here 3 to 6 times? Well, ask yourself, how did we get here 8 times? And when you do that and you give yourself the time to write that, look back at that writing and like, what is the thing that comes out of there that's you're not going to want to let go of? Something will come.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Love that for lots of reasons. And you as the listener, you'll have your own application of that as it's coming to you right now, what Meribeth just said. Something I want to offer as well is we're going to give you, it's one writing prompt. How did we get here? Right? One writing prompt, but I'm going to invite you to write through 3 perspectives or 3 positions, if you will. We always offer in the Writer's Adventure that every book actually has 3 conflicts in it, or 3 reasons it exists, 3 journeys in it. The first one is, and there's no hierarchy in which one comes first. It's just these 3. The first one is the actual journey of the character in the book, or if there are no characters in the book because you're not writing a fiction book, you're writing a how-to book, then the character actually becomes your reader, right? So what's the conflict that your reader is in that your book solves? Or what is the conflict, the journey of your characters on, that your book, what's that journey? Then there's the macro, which is how is that story reflected in the world? What's the big world view, world picture that story sits in, right? Like you might have a character right now who is dealing with recycling. I'm making this up, and they have no recycling depot on their small little island. We have one, but I'm not talking about Bowen. But let's say that's like the story. And then of course the macro, picture then is the climate crisis that we're in, right? Or an environmental piece. So your immediate, your macro, and then the third one is actually the author's conflict, which there's something that you're likely wrestling with that is bringing you to the page. Often the author's conflict doesn't show up till later, like you don't find it till later, but you might have a sense of it now. And so today's writing prompt, how did we get here? I invite you to write from each of those perspectives. So the perspective of happening right now in the book, the macro of the world, and the personal of your own journey. How did I get here? Anything else?
Right. I think that gives people a surprisingly significant amount to write into. Sorry, it got really dark there for a second.
I just want to, some of the linear thinkers might be going, well, where does this fit in my book anyway? I don't understand. Why are we doing this? For some of you, this might actually inform your introduction. For some of you, this might actually inform your epilogue if you're going to write one. Others, it might inform your one-pager that you're going to write to pitch about your book. And others of you, if you're lost in your writing right now, these writing prompts will help bring clarity to the direction that you're going. It's like your flashlight. All right. So let's go write. Hey, Meribeth?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. And then we'll come back, a little checkout.
See you all in an hour and a half.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.